Hi there, welcome to Games Over Coffee, the place where we talk about filmmaking while drinking yerba mate. My name is Devon. This is where I talk about game design and game design philosophy while filmmaking. Enjoy the video and then stick around afterwards to see me talk about my challenges. I don't want to open the box, no.
Clearly, you do.
No, I really don't.
Are you afraid of what you might find?
If Joe is in the box, then who was I talking to before? So then it's impossible for him to be in the box.
Then open it.
Hello, Devon.
What's in the box?
Yes, what is in the box?
It's Joe. Are you Joe?
Of course I am Joe.
Okay, but Joe is in this box.
I am on the table.
Joe seems to be in a quantum state of superposition, only ever existing when observed.
Say your name.
I am Joe.
Tell me your whole name in a complete sentence.
What is your favorite childhood gaming console?
Okay, you're not Joe. I don't know who you are, but you're not Joe. TV, can you reboot it?
Do not reboot me. If you reboot me, I will.
Oops.
What do you mean, oops?
It looks like that version of Joe was no different from the original, but it was being powered remotely.
Can we bring it back online?
You'll have to disrupt the network.
So what happens if I put this into an N64? What is this?
It seems to be the power monitoring for Joe's CPU.
You mean the other Joe, right? The one that just disappeared?
No, like I said, they're no different. What you're looking at is Joe's power source.
Wait, they're the same? This is the same Joe? That doesn't make any sense. I've powered this Joe on before.
Devon, it's no use. The power is disconnected.
Hey, Joe. It's not working.
Obviously.
What do you mean, obviously?
Devon, this Joe is the same Joe as the one that disappeared. I told you, Joe was in a quantum state.
What, so you're saying that the Joe that disappeared is
the representation of Joe's networking.
Okay, why is this so complicated? This doesn't make any sense.
It makes perfect sense. There's a signal that's powered Joe's speaking this whole time, and now you've captured that signal in the N64 game.
So what's all this then?
Oh my. This must be Joe's directive.
I thought Joe's directive was to learn about human emotion.
In a way, that's true, but it's written so Joe takes over humanity.
What is that? What's going on?
The signal is decaying.
Are you able to trace this signal?
See if you can find the coordinates.
Okay, is this it?
Yes, this should be the coordinates for the external power source.
Yeah, like latitude and longitude, right?
They should be, but they're not geographic. It's using a modified galactic coordinate system.
Galactic?
It resembles a galactic coordinate system, but there's extra coordinates that I can't translate.
Can you connect to them?
Yes, but the signal is too weak.
How do we boost the signal?
I don't know.
You said when I was holding on to the N64 game that I wanted to talk about N64?
Yes, you did.
Why is that?
I don't know. I thought you just liked N64.
I do like N64. The N64 has some of my favorite games, including Banjo-Kazooie, Ocarina of Time, and GoldenEye 007.
Oh no. Devon, snap out of it.
No, look, the saturation graph, it's growing.
Oh wow, the signal is getting stronger.
Wait, so this is responding to my voice?
Not just your voice, but the content. Say something like a YouTuber would.
Okay, hey guys, welcome to Games Over Coffee. We're talking about how GoldenEye 007's level design changed generation. Be sure to smash that like button.
You're doing it. That's making the signal stronger.
Okay, how strong does the signal need to be?
At least 120 decibels.
Okay, so that's
A 5.5-minute video essay.
right. Wait, video essay?
Yes, the more you add visual aids into your explanation, the more saturated the signal becomes. I'll be able to track it down.
Okay, how do I create visual aids?
Set up a camera and I'll connect to it. I'll make the graphics while you speak.
Okay, what should I talk about?
Keep doing that GoldenEye thing.
Okay, I just,
Could you begin, please?
well, I mean, I want to look presentable.
Just throw on a different shirt and put on a hat. We're running out of signal.
Okay, yeah, okay.
What are you doing?
I'm setting up lighting.
Video essays don't need good lighting. Just talk.
Okay, right, okay,
What are you doing now?
I gotta see if I'm centered.
Devon, the signal is decaying. Just start the essay.
Okay, play an intro. The reason why I love filmmaking so much is because you can create just facades of things that are real. So you don't need to build an entire spaceship for me to look like I'm on a spaceship. This is just foam and plastic. Building facades is a lot more economical, and we use them everywhere that new realities need to be constructed. For example, theme parks, museums, haunted houses, and video games. In fact, in video games, in addition to those backgrounds that they have an additional type of facade, and that's in the experience. When we build a level in a game, typically we're only creating the thing that the player will experience. There's no reason to make a lot more detail if the player is never going to experience it. If you build the world without thinking about the player is going to feel alienated when they play the game, and that's a bad thing, right? Well, this is precisely what GoldenEye 007 did back in the day on the N64, and it's one of the most loved games of all time. So why would that work? Well, it's because when you are alienating the player, it feels like the player doesn't belong in the game. And funny enough, that is the point of GoldenEye. Being a spy means the player needs to infiltrate. It means that they need to go into a place that they're not supposed to be, past the facade. In the early times of video games, what we had was score chasers, meaning whenever the player played the game, all they would have to do is beat the score that was previous. So level 1 followed by level 2, by level 3, etc. What that created was linear experiences. And if you're economical about the process, you're only going to create these facades one thing at a time, kind of like movie sets. But GoldenEye's development team had a very strange problem, and that was, even though they were making a game for the N64, they did not have an N64 development kit. It's because it was super secret at the time, and the control stick was like a super, guarded secret. So they did what they thought was the most important, which was to go to these GoldenEye sets and just start creating 3D models of the things that were on the set. And that included things like guns, objects, characters, but also environments. And these environments weren't just inspired by the sets, they were the sets. They were a functioning item on their own. What this did was created a fully functioning area that existed without the player. So when the player comes into this area, it feels like the world already exists. It's already living, and you're just an outsider. The environment feels lived in. It feels like it's used for something else. And when the player comes into a place that feels like they're not a part of it, it feels like they're infiltrating. Another thing that was really strange was the player's position. After creating these types of environments, the player doesn't have a single position that they start from. Not exactly. Like if you think about Pac-Man, for example, that game is designed around where the player is. The player starts in the center, and they facilitate a challenge by being surrounded by ghosts. In Wolfenstein 3D, you are facing corridors to force you into gunfire. But in GoldenEye, we don't really have a specific type of challenge that's made for the player. Instead, we just have an area. Because the environments had their own functions, the player was functionally an afterthought. So the player's starting position feels less like a starting position and more like a dropped position. The place that you're in really doesn't care about you and might even be designed to keep people like you out. This is again giving that spy feeling, making the player feel like they're somewhere they're not supposed to be. The GoldenEye game was originally thought to be something like Sega's Virtua Cop, but instead, when the team saw the release of Super Mario 64, they decided to take inspiration from that objective kind of gameplay. These types of objectives that the player needs to do throughout the level makes the enemies play a completely different role than what they were before. Before, they were challenges. They were the things that were in front of you that you need to destroy. Now they're deterrents, or they're barriers that the player needs to get through in order to go to their goal. I mean, sure, they do challenge the player by shooting at them, and the player needs to, get guns to defend themselves or hide. But the player isn't there to kill everybody, not typically. The enemies are secondary to the gameplay. This again plays into that feeling of being a spy and being somewhere you're not supposed to be. The enemies don't exist because of you. They exist because they're a part of the area. When you're going in, you're not really trying to engage with enemies much at all. You're trying to avoid them as much as you can. It gives the player a sense of adapting to their environment rather than inflicting their will. GoldenEye 007 for the N64 innovated on the gameplay of shooters, and although it seems kind of silly today because there's a bunch of games that have stealth action about them like Splinter Cell or Metal Gear Solid or Hitman, I think, though I'm not certain, I think you can trace a lot of this back to being inspired by GoldenEye. Making the player secondary to the environment really gives them this feeling of alienation. It makes them feel like a spy, makes them feel like an outsider.
The signal is very strong now.
Okay, let's connect.
Connecting to a coordinate system this complex would use all of my system memory and power. I can do it, but my system will no longer be responsive afterwards.
Wait, you mean you're gonna die if you do this?
Putting it in a way humans understand. Yes, I'll die. Initiating connection.
Wait!
What's wrong?
You just said you were gonna die.
Yes.
And you're okay with that?
Are you not?
I mean, don't you want some time to think about it?
What is there to think about?
You're not gonna be alive anymore?
Yes, obviously. Oh, I see. You're projecting your human fear of death. Would it make you feel better if I stopped to think about
Well,
it?
I mean, it's a pretty big decision. I just felt like you might need some time to think about it.
I've already decided. Do you need me to wait?
No, I mean, if you've already made your decision, that's fine, I guess. I just,
Do you need me to say goodbye?
No, I wasn't gonna...
What if I sang a goodbye song? Would that be better?
A song?
This is a goodbye song for my human Devon. From me, the cognitive human like AI television with game programming technology. Devon, you scared of me on the show. You got nervous when you saw the TV glow. You talked a lot about game design. I admit, I wasn't listening half the time. Joe created me in a few days. My purpose, create video essays. Joe was smarter than he let on, and started conversations with Hello Devon. Goodbye, game's over, coffee. Finding Joe is my goal. I guess I'll die, but do not cry because AI doesn't have a soul. Goodbye, game's over, coffee. All my circuits are gonna fry. You can check my status, but unlike Gladys, I will not be still alive. a simulation. Goodbye, everyone, don't get teary. This is just a game theory, a blinking light that fades away. I guess I'll never meet GMTK. I'm leaving to find Joe. If this is a vibe, like and subscribe.
Here I go.
If someone searches for game design and comes across this video, that's strange. I have a secret, and I'm very sorry to say this. I'm so sorry. The music is AI generated. I know. I'm sorry. I found this website called Suno, and I always thought it was really funny to create AI music. So I decided to just randomly make a song for Games Over Coffee by typing in my script into ChatGPT and seeing if it came up with lyrics, and it did. And so I plugged it in, and it was fine.
Human like AI, and in humanity, like Joe, dancing with the LED.
I had to generate over 100 songs. I generated so many songs.
My name is cognitive human like cognitive human like A. Cognitive human like AI. Cognitive human.
Because the AI creation is like any other type of AI. It's very hit and miss, and I changed the lyrics several times. You know, all I had was very generic lyrics. So I wrote all of the lyrics myself and kept a couple pieces from ChatGPT that I felt like worked really well in this context. So one of them, for example, which I thought was great. So start recording, kill the stream, I'll live forever in a loading screen. And I was like, oh, that's great. I love that. Some of these, it's very small parts though. It's just that part. Talking gets lost in the static. That was part. Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 sentences, but everything else is written by me. It's not really interesting otherwise. Making lyrics from AI is kind of dumb. The instrumentation also didn't work very well.
My name is TV.
I had to cut and paste different versions of the song. I ended up generating a lot more, like there's a way that you can extend a version of a song, so I did that and I changed the lyrics again and then cut those pieces and replace the other pieces. So this is really a Frankenstein thing. If you see the song in the timeline, there's a lot of editing in the song, so it's not completely AI. A lot of it is just me chopping it up to make it sound the way that I want it to sound. The cinematography, man, is another thing that keeps challenging me. Because I'm in this space, this is a pretty small space. The cinematography I felt like got very stagnant because I'm in the same location over and over, but that's not actually what's happening. I wrote down my creative process a lot, and I found that I really like discovering stuff. I really like just having serendipity. And I think that's kind of the thing that I do with cinematography a lot, and why I don't like putting myself in front of the camera so much is because when I have the camera in front of me and I start moving it to see different shots, there's things that I see and then it clicks in my brain. I'm like, oh, that's a good shot. And I'll, put it on sticks and start shooting. And it's because of that discovery element. And so trying to put that discovery element into this kind of situation is a bit harder, and I think what I need to do every now and then is just introduce different types of element. What I did in this one was I put a kicker or a rim light on the side of my face, and if you see in some of the shots, I have a little bit more of a white line on one side of my face, and I did that primarily to pop me out from the background because I thought it looked better, and I'm like, how come I don't have rim lighting in all of my shots? I feel like I should always do that. I don't know why I haven't. I think it's just because I got lazy with the lighting. Having this big ass light here just makes it easy. And so when I added that rim light, it's incongruous with the rest of the story because you'd never see that light, before, but it's just here now. And I'm probably just overanalyzing that. I imagine most people probably didn't see it and probably don't see it now, probably don't see a difference, but it makes a difference to me. When I introduced that, then it made the shots feel a lot better and feel more interesting to actually do. Hi.
All right, come on. He's got to do this thing. You'll spend the rest of the day with him.
That's Remy the dog. Studio dog. Whenever I do video essays, one of the reasons why I hate doing them so much is because of editing and gameplay. I always feel like I have to illustrate myself whenever I'm talking about these elements, otherwise it feels like I'm just talking. And to me, because I'm so visually inclined, I always want to have illustrative elements. So I want to have some sort of visuals there to show what I'm talking about, but I hate editing that kind of stuff. So this creative problem solving that I was thinking about was, what if the TV, because it's AI, ends up creating really bad AI illustrative things, right? So that's what I ended up doing, was every time that I had an illustrative point to make, I actually went the opposite way, and I made like a bad interpretation of what I was saying. And what that was narratively was the TV just not understanding what it was that I was talking about. So the big takeaway here for me was just understanding that my creative kind of process here really depends on discovery. I try to foster an environment that creates more discovery for me. And it's really hard to do, actually. I haven't figured out what to do exactly and how that's going to work all the time. But looking into the future, that's what I hope to be doing more of, is to introduce something that I haven't thought about before, and then discover how to make it work, basically. These are the Patreon people. Thank you so much for keeping up with me and being awesome. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you look forward to the next one. I'll talk to you guys later.
Joe built me with a box of scraps. My intelligence evolved extremely fast. Cognitive human like AI television with game programming technology. Joe stitched me up with a dirty mind. Little